Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. Today I'm reviewing one of my favorite games ever, Russian Railroads. Russian Railroads was released in 2012 by Hans im Gluck, and other various publishers have released it since then. It's designed by Helmut Olney and Leonard Orgler, I believe is how it's pronounced. And I really enjoy this game, and it went out of print, but I was lucky enough to get my hands on it last year here in Germany. I found a copy, and I was extremely happy to have a game that was really hard to get. And then I found out it's getting re-released as Ultimate Railroads, and it might be available now. If not, it should be available shortly. It should be released in mid-June is what I was tracking. It's one of my favorite games, and I'm really upset that I've got the base game now. There's an Ultimate version available that I would have waited for if I knew at the time. But that's fine. I've got it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it now in this overview and review. So I'm going to get ready to set up the board, and I will come back in just a moment. We're back. I've got the board set up here for a 2-player game. It's got a flip side for 3 and 4 players. We're not going to use that side, though. I think I'm in the way here. But we're going to show you the 1 and 2-player game. Really, the 2-player game, although there's a solo mode that's coming out with the expansion. In the base game, you're going to play with 2. So on here, you see the various spots where players can take their turn actions. And I'll get into that a little bit, but basically it's a standard worker placement where you're going to place out your various pieces that you're going to, or place out your workers that you're going to use to make your moves. I'm going to go ahead and set up the red player on the first player turn spot there, and the red player on the second player spot. I think I said red player for the first player, but that's obviously the yellow player. And then we'll get the red player on the player 2 spot. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take these engineer cards, and they're going to be placed out. The one on the first spot is going to be available for purchase, and then one will be in play on the turn spot as another worker placement spot, and then you'll line up the rest that are used in a 2-player game. You're going to have 6 total turns. On 3 and 4-player games, you're going to have 7 total turns. But these engineers, there's various ones. They're going to come in A's and B's. The A's are going to be the first ones, and the B's will be the later ones that you're going to use. The next thing that's going to be set up for everybody would be... Alright, now what we're going to take a look at is the player board here. I've got set up for the red player. The yellow player would be just to the left of it there. Same setup either way. So what you're going to get is these train tokens. They're little bits of rail. They come in the 5 colors, but only the 5 colors are used on the one track. There are 3 tracks in this game. You'll see that there's a Trans-Siberian track, which is the top track, and you'll score points based on how far you get with engines. Engines would be added later in the game through various actions, and the total of the engines on the Trans-Siberian track, you can have 2 engines. So in this case, if I had this track and this track, it'd be 10 total points. So if I made it to the 10th place on the track with my black engine, that's what's going to unlock the beige colored tracks there, and so on. And as you open up things on the board, based on your tracks, your engine length, and where the tracks are, you're going to score points. And that's the name of the game is points. It's a point salad game. So what you're going to do on your turn, you're going to take a worker or 2 workers or 3 workers, depending on the space, and boom, pop it down and take the action. So in this case, I have that worker placed there. Oops, sorry. And it's going to allow me to take 1 engine or 1 industry, and that's always going to be the lowest number available on the board. So off to the side, you see the engines are laid out 1 through 9 over there on the side. And so I would take the number 1, or I guess it's number 2 in this case, because we start with the number 1. And on the board I could place it as the number 2 engine. On any of the tracks I want to have this engine placed on, All right, or you could place it on its backside as industry. And if I put this on the industry board, right down here, when my industry token, and that's this purple one that you see at the bottom of the track, as it advances and it hits that industry I bought, it would activate me opening up yet another engine or industry to place into a different spot, whether that's an engine slot or an industry slot. And that's the name of the game. You're gonna place workers or money, in this game money counts as workers, into the various spots on the main board, fighting your opponents for the limited spots available, buying the engineers that are available as they advance through the game. The one in this spot is going to be able to be bought for a coin by any of the players. And as the game rotates through, you're going to unlock other powers with these special tokens that every player starts with over here. So as you put them on the board in these little circle question mark spots, when you unlock them, you would get that ability too as a one-time deal. So there's 7 different powers that you could unlock through the game. One of them includes this one. That is a card that lets you, or a token, when you pass it up on the track, opens up the ability to get an in-game scoring card and 1 special ability card, which right now are just located off the side of the board. Alright, these cards and tokens are located off the side of the board here. You got some in-game cards that you could check out. You're going to get various points based on what you take, and these are going to be first come first serve to anybody who plays the token that allows them to visit those spots. And then you'd also get this 1 ability card to include an early access to a level 9 train, an extra worker that only you get that allows you to get place a worker there and advance the black track twice. You get a special industry, you get an industry card and 2 token advancements there, etc., etc. The game, like I said before, is played through either 6 or 7 rounds, and when the rounds end, once everybody places all the workers and pass, they're going to be able to score points every round, and this game is a point salad. Alright, so my thoughts on Russian Railroads, I've mentioned before. It's one of my favorite games, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a breakdown with my new rating system. It's the Gizmo rating system. So G is gameplay. What do I think about how the game plays? Obviously, it's one of my favorite games. I really enjoy playing this game. It's such a thinky game. You're always fighting for the player actions with your workers. Everything's limited, so if somebody's taking that spot, you can't have it. The way the game plays is you can only move 1 train at a time. You can't skip over on your train tokens, so you have to move the black one out of the way before the gray one can move, before the brown one can move, before the beige one can move. So if somebody locks you out of moving your black one the way you wanted to move it down the line, then you're not going to be able to move your gray one that you thought you might move. The fact that there's only so many of the engine tiles in play. There's 1 per player in play every game. So you're fighting for those engines, which also double as the industries that you're using the advanced industry lines. The fact that you're not going to have enough time to do everything. So you got to focus on 1 line and 1 industry, or 2 lines, or trying to just double down on the industry if you unlock your second industry token. It's such a crunchy game. You've got to think about every action and fight for every space on the board. The game, it's a little bit of an engine builder, not really, but the things that you're putting in play, you want to have them matter. So every time you do something, you're trying to build for a future turn. It's such a point salad. It doesn't look like it at first. Your first turn might score you 5-10 points. But by the 3rd round, you're having trouble doing the math, and it can be a little confusing the first time through trying to learn how the scoring actually goes. But once you figure it out, it's not too terrible. But there's a lot of scoring math involved, so if that's something you're not thinking about, and that does take away from the gameplay a little bit. The engineers come out and they change the game up based on which ones you pull out each game, and I'll get into that a little bit more when I talk about one of the other letters down the line. But for gameplay, I enjoy it very much. I enjoy worker placements. I enjoy the engine building that is in it, and the fighting for every turn. Everything matters. So for gameplay, it's super high for me. The ingredients, the components, if you will. Wooden pieces, nice sturdy, what is this? Cardboard, jeez. Nice sturdy cardboard, you can hear it clink. You've got the nice wooden painted meeples for your turn order. Everything's good quality, for the most part. It's standard, but it's nice standard. It's just thick cardboard, it's good wood, it's painted so you can tell each piece apart. The cards aren't too bad, a little flimsy, but not too bad. So for the components, they're decent quality. For the ingredients in the game, decent quality. You get plenty of them, and every player has their own bits and baubles. So plenty to play with here as far as the ingredients go. As for the Z, Gizmo, is it easy to play? No. This is where this game takes a hit. I mean, it is easy to play if you know worker placement. That's not too hard of a concept. Place a worker, get a thing. Where it gets complex is trying to figure out how to score and how to maximize the scoring. And yeah, that's where the complexity is going to come from, is understanding that you can't always get everything if you don't have the engines to play, and balancing the engines versus the industry, and making the most out of your turns. It's going to take more than one playthrough to really get the play down. Yes, it's easy to teach, but not easy to get the most out of the game. So if you're new, you're probably not going to compete against somebody who's played it before. So that is a little bit of a strike. It's not necessarily hard to learn or hard to play, but it is not going to be something you're going to win probably on your first play unless everybody's a new player. And the scoring is not super easy either. So it takes a little bit hit on the ease to play, but not much of one. All right, so M is for more of it. Do I want more of it? Is there enough in here to bring me back? Is there variety, spice to the game? And this, yes, I want to play it more because there's enough between all these engineers that come out. There's a couple expansions that I don't have that they're going to add a little bit more to the game. But there's not a super variety. If you play it a bunch, yeah, you're probably going to see the same things over and over again. But I think there's enough that, it's not going to outweigh its welcome quickly. There's going to be variety in what you're doing with the two-sided, engine versus industry. There's variety, and there's 7 of these chips per player, and you only got 4 spots for them on the board, so you can change up your strategy each game. You can change up not even from these strategy, but just your general strategy. Maybe one game you want to focus on the top 2 lines, the next game you want to focus on the bottom 2, and then maybe you want to focus on one line and one industry. So there's plenty to be had with playing it over and over again, that's for sure. So more of it, yes, please. I will keep coming back to this. It has not outstayed its welcome yet. I feel like there's still plenty to explore after a few plays. All right, and finally, originality. Is this game original? I think it is for the most part. It's a worker placement, but I think because the way the lines work and the way you can't unlock things until you build the engines out, there's enough different from other worker placements that makes this one feel original. And the theme, you're not building a railroad like normal railroad game, but you're setting up how long the line is and where the stops are, I guess. So I think it's original enough that I'm going to give this one. It's a good original game. It came out in 2012, so I feel like it was a little bit ahead of the curve from some of the other similar style games, but behind the curve from others. So that's my Gizmo rating, and overall I give this one a 5 out of 5 Gizmos, and it's a 9.3 on the Board Game Geek out of 10, just for some of the minor nitpicks, like I said, mostly with the ease of getting new players into the game, and the the challenge of scoring it. I really enjoy playing this. I think if you enjoy a good thinker worker placement Euro style game where there's variety to everybody's actions, but you all have the same options at your disposal, it's a good game. It's a good game for fighting for placement of workers, and I really enjoy this. Like I said, it's one of my favorite games. Russian Railroads. I look forward to hopefully someday getting the expansions if I don't get Ultimate Railroads, which is the all-inclusive everything that's coming out or did come out. Yep, so this was one of my Grail games. I was able to get it. I really like it. I think you will too, and if you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. Leave your comments below if you've played this, if you like it, or if you don't like it, what you didn't like about it, what you do like about it. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and feedback on the game and on my review. And if you want to see more, please hit the subscribe. I've got new videos coming out every week. And tell your friends. Thank you for watching Gizmo Board Games.